Ken Morgan, thanks so very much. I'm Dave Little, and this is In the Sulky. My guest tonight is William Carter, the 20-year-old phenom, who is the current reigning SOA Cloverleaf Rising Star of the Year. So that's quite an accomplishment for you at this stage of your career, isn't it?
Man, that was a great feeling, I was not expecting that.
Where did you race for the most part to earn that award? I imagine Rosecroft Raceway?
Rosecroft and Ocean Downs, the CSOA, it's both the Maryland track, so just pretty much Rosecroft and Ocean Downs.
Before we get into the interview, we did a little bit of a look back at the life and times of the fallen Pete Medhurst, and you said to me before the interview that you wanted to take a minute or two to talk about Pete. Tell us about Pete Medhurst.
Man, he's such a great guy. He did so much to promote the sport. And no one could say anything bad about him. He was just such a great guy. He's really going to be missed. I mean, he's just such a great guy. He did so much. He loved the young people and loved everybody, and he's just such a great guy.
Yeah, certainly. What a great talent. And obviously, besides being the track announcer at Rosecroft, he was the play-by-play guy for Navy football. So we're not kidding around here. He was a real guy.
Yeah, he was a real guy.
So, certainly Pete Medhurst, very, very sad to see him pass away this week at the age of 55. All right, let's get into it. When we talked the other day, William, you told me that your dad is who got you into harness racing. Tell us about him and how you got started.
So my dad, he's a first-generation horseman. He was the story of he going to the track when he was a kid, and he fell in love with it. So then he got a job, and it went on from there. And then a couple years, a long time later, he brought me into it, and since day one, I just loved it. Even since I was a little kid, I just loved it. I always wanted to be a driver.
Was your dad a driver as well?
Yeah, he drives. He drives trains. He's getting a little bit older, has injuries, so he's more sticking to training. But he was pretty much a driver too. Yeah.
So he had that background for you. So there was a picture of you that your dad sent me. You might have been 3 or 4 years old in a set of colors. So it was pretty much destined that you were going to be in this game, wasn't it?
Yeah, from day one, that's what I knew, and I still have those colors on my wall.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I guess they're a little bit tight now.
Yeah, they really don't fit that much.
Well, last year, at the age of 19, you won 170 of the 237 races that you've won in your career. Were you surprised at how well last year went?
I was actually very surprised. I had a goal for the year when the year first started. I was like, maybe I could get 100 wins. And then when we got to the summertime, and I had 100 wins right before my birthday, I was like, man, I might be able to get a couple more. So I just keep trying to set goals and keep trying to reach them goals.
So during the course of 2024, you finished 5th in the standings at Rosecroft with over 70 victories. The leading driver there was Johnny Ali. Johnny Ali wins plenty of races here right at the Meadowlands. So the top of the standings there, no joke drivers. So finishing 5th was a nice accomplishment.
Yeah, they're really good drivers. They all try to help me. They all try to help me a lot. And now they're all good drivers down there. A couple of them very underrated down there too.
Let's take a look at something that I put together, and I call it quite a resume for a 20-year-old. Now, you drove the 170 winners during 2024, but I also, when I was doing my research, saw that you have some pretty good training chops as well, with 30 wins with way less than 300 starts, so that's way over 10%.
Yeah, I was trying when I was getting into it. My dad told me that to get your foot in the door, you have to have horses, you have to train and drive, because it's tough to make it as just a driver. So then I had a little barn. I mean, it was my dad and I for the most part, and he helped me out, and he got me to where I am today. And then so about the summertime, I was like, Dad, I think I'm just going to be a full-time driver, and it's been working out pretty good.
Yeah, there's no question about that. To win 73 races at any track during the course of a calendar year, not easy to do. And the fact of the matter is, because of how young you were, it must have been tough to get the confidence of the trainers down at Rosecroft. How did you earn their trust?
Well, just one race at a time, riding the rail, getting checks, and eventually getting better drives, better horses to drive, and then it was off from there. And then once you're winning, everyone starts to notice you a little bit.
Now, the reason we're here tonight, we honor the great Dr. Martin Luther King with a race in his honor. And I know it's a race you'd love to win. But for you, it's a case of, been there, done that. As you won one of the Dr. King races here at the Big M in 2023, let's turn the clock back 2 years and watch the stretch run of Maddox Hanover. What's going through your mind here, William?
Man, there was so much going through my mind, because not only was that my first drive ever at the Meadowlands, and first went to Meadowlands. That was one of my first wins ever. I was probably first 10 wins ever. It was just a great feeling, and the horses, when I pulled him, he had so much pace, and he just kept going. That was a great, surreal feeling.
You know, the fact of the matter is that at the time, you still had just a provisional license. How much longer after the win with Maddox Hanover did you get your A license?
So I won that race in January, middle of January. I got my A license in the beginning of April, right before Shenandoah Downs opened for their first spring meet. The judges called me and said, "We would like to give you your A license. You did enough to earn it."
You know, tell me a little bit about Shenandoah Downs. I'm not really that familiar with it. I was looking online. Apparently there's no casino, no simulcast. It's a half-mile track down in Virginia, and you told me that it's a great place to race.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Probably my favorite place to race. It's right in the mountains. It's a beautiful location. Everyone down there is nice, and it's crowded. The grandstand gets really crowded, and everyone down there loves the atmosphere, and it's a great place to race.
Now, you've also been racing at, in addition to Rosecroft, obviously, Ocean Downs, where you told me the other day that you drove probably the best horse you've ever driven there. Tell us about that one.
Oh, so I drove a horse by the name of Lion Stealth, and I went with him in July in 51-2 and it's a half mile. So that was a pretty good mile. That's probably the fastest I've ever won, and up until that point, that's the fastest I've ever even been.
So 51-2 around a half-mile track. This is an exceptional horse.
Yeah, he was good. For about that month in July, he was razor sharp. I mean, he was razor sharp. I just pull him and he would just go.
Now, last October, you drove a winner in the biggest purse race of your career, almost $88,000 in the Virginia Breeders' Fund Stake Final with a 3-year-old filly pacer by the name of Caviar Ainsley, and the trainer, he's no bum. It's Tony Alagna.
Yeah, that was a great horse to drive, and the trip, it worked out perfect. I ended up second over behind the favorite. He dropped in down the backside, and it was a clear shot from there.
So wasn't your dad in that race as well?
Yeah, my dad was in the race. He was actually on another horse for Tony Alagna. I think he finished third or something maybe, but that was a crazy feeling being in the stake race with my dad.
So when you went to a dinner that night, did you give your dad, give him a little ribbing? Dad, where were you? I didn't see you at the finish line.
Nah, I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say that?
No.
You didn't want to get in trouble?
No.
I guess I don't blame you. So your career is going well, but the fact is we're here tonight to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, he was murdered when I was 7 years of age, and I don't think that the curriculum that I went to school with did him enough justice in terms of talking about the tremendous significance he had not only on black folks, but on everybody, because all he really did was not just go for the rights of black people, but he wanted everybody just to be friendly and to get along. What kind of significance has Dr. King had on your life?
Man, he had a lot of significance. You know, everything that he fought for and everything now, so we can be free today. That's all because of him and other people, but Dr. Martin Luther King, he was a big one, and he wanted everyone to be equal. And now our younger generation like us, it's getting better, but we try to treat everyone like how we want to be treated. That's what we all were brought up on.
You know, people ask me from time to time, why aren't there a lot more black drivers in harness racing? And I don't know that it's a matter of exclusion. I think that, in sports like football and basketball, there are a lot of black players. In sports like hockey, there aren't a lot of black players. And in baseball, it used to be a lot of blacks, but now it's a lot of Latins. So I just think it's just a matter of upbringing, and you came up in harness racing, and you just happen to be in that demographic.
Yeah, I came up in it, but there's also a lot of black drivers down in Mississippi that are coming up, and for them, all it takes is opportunity. They have as much talent as anybody else, but all it takes for any driver really is opportunity, and that's all they need.
Will those types of drivers, do you think, be seen more on the B and C track levels so that they can get up and be good like you are at a track like a Rosecroft and then graduate from there? Yes,
they really get prominent in Kentucky. You have Jamal Denson, Jeremy Bobbitt, Archie Buford comes up to Shenandoah, and they hold their own down there, and they're fun to watch too.
Yeah, I think Bobbitt, in fact, raced here maybe last year or the year before in the Dr. King pace. 10 years down the road, you're 20 now. So when William Carter is 30, where does he want to be? Do you want to drive at the Meadowlands on a full-time basis? Where do you want your career path to be leading?
My biggest goal is just to be able to make a living driving horses, no matter where it's at. If it's here or anywhere else, I just want to be able to make a living driving horses.
Are you one who wants to stay regional? I know you grew up in Philadelphia, so do you want to stay more to the south, or would you be okay relocating to the Northeast?
It just all depends where I get the best drives at, and wherever I have to go, I'll go. I don't mind traveling.
All right, so you don't mind traveling, so you'll go wherever the wind takes you, wherever the opportunity
That's
is.
exactly right.
So maybe Tony Alagna will have another drive or two for you down in Shenandoah this year, and you can make a little more noise that way.
That's right. I'll be there.
William Carter, a great interview, and we thank you very much for being with us tonight. In about 60 seconds, Jessica Otten's going to jump in that chair because William's got to get to work. Hey, before I let you go, tell me about tonight's 5th race. How do you like your chances with a horse that I picked on top, William? No pressure.
The horse looks pretty good. Yeah, no pressure at all, huh? Yeah, the horse, he looks good. I'm just going to drive him how the trainer tells me to, and we'll see if it works out.
Well, you already wanted the Meadowlands. It's easy for you, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. No horse race is easy to win.
Next up, Jessica Otten will talk about tonight's featured action and give out the hardware for our Driver of the Week and our Big D's Tag Trainer of the Week. One more time, William Carter, thanks so much for being my guest tonight on In the Sulky.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back after these messages.